Hello, this is Lance Gloss, Senior Planner with the City of Grand Junction Community Development Department. Here we have a request by the applicant to rezone two properties from PD, or Planned Development, to C1, Light Commercial, with those two properties located at 287 27 Road and the adjacent former Dixon Park property, collectively comprising 8.7 acres, and to rezone one property from PD, or Planned Development, to MU, or Mixed Use, located at 288 27 Road, comprising 2.8 acres. The applicant on the request is 1215 to 1217 Perry, LLC. The application concerns three adjacent properties, including the property at 287 27 Road, which contains the Ametek building, the former Dixon Park property abutting to the west, and the property at 288 27 Road, which lies across 27 Road and to the east of the Ametek property. All three of these properties are currently zoned PD. The rezone is intended to provide for future commercial and residential development on the site, as both C1 and MU zones allow for a range of commercial and multifamily residential uses. Staff considers the request to align with the goals and strategies of the 2021 Grand Junction Comprehensive Plan. Here you can see the subject properties highlighted. Those highlighted in yellow are proposed to be rezoned to C1, whereas that which is highlighted in green is proposed to be rezoned to MU, or Mixed Use. Here you can see them in their broader context in Orchard Mesa, between Uniweave Avenue and Highway 50. Here you can see their future land use map designations under the 2021 Grand Junction Comprehensive Plan. As aligns with the proposed zone districts, the two properties that are proposed to be rezoned to C1 are currently under a commercial land use designation, and the property that is proposed to rezone to MU is currently under a mixed use land use designation under that comprehensive plan. Here you can see the current zoning map, which shows that these three properties, which are zoned PD, are largely surrounded by R8 and R16 residential zone districts, as well as the C1 zone district bordering Uniweave Avenue and adjacent to the Ametek property. A detailed history of the zoning of these properties is found in the staff report, but a summary is as follows. The Ametek property was developed with a warehouse in 1960, with the current manufacturing warehouse of 103,000 square feet completed in 1990. Ametek manufacturing activities were largely moved away from the facility, and the facility is now primarily empty and in some places in a state of neglect. The Dixon property to the west of the Ametek building was, until 2020, a privately owned park that was previously available for public use under a lease arrangement between the property owner and the city. The property at 288 27 Road is currently vacant. The properties at 287 and 288 27 Road, as well as the adjacent Dixon Park, were zoned to PD, or Planned Development, under Mesa County jurisdiction, and were annexed into the city's PD zone in 1973. Perhaps due to this history, the PD zoning for this property is particularly narrow relative to other PD zones throughout the city. For example, the only permitted use of the properties at 287 and 288 27 Road is manufacturing, with accessory uses such as office. No use is clearly specified in the original PD ordinance that would indicate how the Dixon Park property was intended or zoned to be used. This particular PD is thus relatively narrow and cumbersome. For an example of just how challenging this particular PD is, consider that the only other city file concerning this property since the zone of annexation was applied in a 1999 file, which demonstrates that a PD amendment, which is a zoning action, was required simply to permit the addition of 384 square feet to the warehouse structure at 287 27 Road. In order to rezone a property, the City Council must find that at least one of the following criteria found at Section 21.02.140 of the Zoning and Development Code are met. The first criterion is that subsequent events have invalidated the original premises and findings. The PD zoning that was applied to these properties has not been updated since 1999. Numerous events have occurred in the city at large and in the immediate area of the subject property since that time. These include the adoption of multiple comprehensive plans, One relevant change in the 2021 Grand Junction Comprehensive Plan is the redesignation of the Dixon Park property from park future land use to commercial land use. Specifically, it is no longer appropriate for the PD zoning of Dixon Park property to identify it as a park when the arrangement that provided for the park-like use of the property, specifically the city's lease, no longer exists. Further, and as explored in relation to the next criterion, the ongoing residential development of the Orchard Mesa neighborhood has increasingly increased the viability of medium and high-density residential development for the properties at 28827 Road or redevelopment at 28727 Road. Finally, the relocation of Ametek operations that had formerly used the warehouse facility at 28727 Road, which had been the primary use of the building since the establishment of the PD zoning, represents a major event that suggests the need to increase flexibility of zoning for the property. Thus, staff finds that this criterion is met. The second criterion is that the character and/or condition of the area has changed such that the amendment is consistent with the plan. The character of the Orchard Mesa neighborhood has substantially changed since the last zoning decision to amend the previously existing PD zoning for this property was made in 1999. Residential development has occurred in many of the former greenfield areas of Orchard Mesa since that time. The provision of adequate housing supply for the needs of current and future residences increasingly requires the development of housing typologies other than single-family residences and the redevelopment of infill properties throughout the city. Providing adequate housing is a primary goal of the 2021 Grand Junction Comprehensive Plan. Thus, it is logical that rezoning the properties with access to services and to zone districts that allow for high-density multifamily residential development is consistent with the plan. Similarly, the plan identifies the need to provide for neighborhood services and a mix of uses within neighborhoods while preserving the fabric of the neighborhood. The C1 and MU zones that are requested here allow for those neighborhoods serving retail, such as groceries, pharmacies, childcare facilities, and other basic services, along with multifamily housing. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The third criterion is that public and community facilities are adequate to serve the type and scope of land use proposed. The subject property is well served by public and community facilities. The transportation network in the vicinity is well developed. The site has access to arterial roads such as Uniweep and to the state highway system on Highway 50. The Grand Valley Transit System also accesses within 900-foot walk of the subject property. Moreover, public utilities are widely available in the area. Excel electrical and gas services are available to the site, as are city water. There is overall no apparent utility deficiency for the site. There is also reasonable access to public schools of all grade levels. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion is met. The fourth criterion is that an inadequate supply of suitably designated land is available in the community as defined by the presiding body to accommodate the proposed land use. The supply of land in the MU zone district is extremely limited in the Orchard Mesa neighborhood. There is also no reason to believe that the Orchard Mesa neighborhood can not continue to absorb additional land with C1 zoning. There is in fact no MU zoning in the Orchard Mesa neighborhood at this time, nor in proximate portions of the city center or Redlands neighborhoods. While C1 zoning exists along much of Highway 50, the city continues to receive rezoning requests to C1 in Orchard Mesa and throughout the city in recent years, as it provides for both commercial services and multifamily residential. Thus, it is a reasonable assertion that the supply of MU and C1 zoning can continue to be increased to meet demonstrated community needs. Staff therefore finds that this criterion is met. And the fifth criterion is that the community or area, as defined by the presiding body, will derive benefits from the proposed amendment. PD zoning can have many benefits to the community, and this is specifically so when the PD zone is well tailored to the development or the contemplated development of a property. However, that same feature of PD zoning, the ability to specifically tailor it for a project's needs, can present a challenge when the property's use or configuration is contemplated to change. This particular PD zone has functioned in essentially the same manner for nearly 5 decades. It is narrow in terms of use, as it allows for only manufacturing, and in terms of site design, as it requires zoning action for even minor additions or structural changes to the site. Above all, the existing PD zone no longer aligns with the use or likely future use of the property. Thus, the primary and significant benefit to be derived from rezoning is to restore flexibility to the property in terms of use and form. Rezoning to MU and C1 would allow for a wider range of development projects to take place on the subject properties and for the property to develop to its highest and best use. Thus, staff finds that this criterion is met. In review, we have our findings of fact. First, staff finds that more than one of the applicable review criteria in Section 21.02.140 of the Grand Junction Zoning Development Code have been met. And second, staff finds that the requested rezone is consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this request to rezone the properties from PD to C1 and from PD to MU, respectively.